Much like the style of government, democratic leadership is all about gathering votes and reaching a consensus. Under this framework, you'll have one person in charge, but decisions are a group effort. Everyone is encouraged to participate in the management process, and the hope is that with more voices come better answers. So, what are some of the core principles of democratic leadership, and when does this style work best? Let's take a look. The first principle of democratic leadership is that it involves inclusive decision-making. Rather than acting independently, leaders invite employees to join the process. They welcome the free flow of ideas, and they encourage everyone to contribute, debate, and collaborate. Next, this style is built on group equality. Rather than a hierarchy, everyone is seen as equals and all perspectives are evenly considered. Third, leaders act as facilitators. To help groups reach a consensus, democratic leaders mediate conversations and offer guidance and direction. And finally, leaders maintain the final say. Taking each person's input into consideration, democratic leaders gather the best ideas from the group and decide where the team goes next. Democratic leaders strive for the perfect amount of control, not too much and not too little. It's an approach that yields a lot of benefits and a few drawbacks as well. And to use the method properly, it's important to understand what those pros and cons are. The first benefit of democratic leadership is that this style builds stronger teams. Because employees frequently communicate and work together, they develop stronger relationships and feel less isolated. Another benefit involves collaborative decisions. When presented with a new problem, employees put their minds together and arrive at informed collective choices. And finally, this style promotes high employee engagement. Because employees are included in all project stages, they're more likely to be invested in and committed to seeing those projects through. So what about the downsides? Unfortunately, not all companies lend themselves well to a democratic leader. And, in the wrong circumstances, the approach can lead to a few drawbacks. The first drawback of democratic leadership is that you might experience time delays. Decisions require meeting with a lot of people, opening the floor to debate, and establishing a consensus. And that can take a lot of time to get through. Next, you might make misguided choices if your staff lacks the skills, knowledge, and experience to arrive at informed decisions. And finally, lowered morale is a possibility. After all, having your idea heard doesn't mean it will be utilized, and that can be demoralizing for some people. So, how can you ensure that the democratic drawbacks don't override the benefits? To reap the full rewards of this style, you should only use it if the following are true. First, only use democratic leadership if your employees are skilled and open to conversation. To get the best ideas, your staff must be qualified with the right experience and knowledge. And to arrive at a consensus, those staff members must also be willing to cooperate with one another. Next, this style also works great if you need creative solutions and fresh ideas. Through this approach, you can open discussions, gather new insights, and receive input from a diverse employee base. Third, only use the democratic framework if you have the time for deliberation. You need time to hear all opinions and develop a consensus. Don't rush that process. And finally, this approach only works if leaders are skilled mediators. To achieve success, leaders must know how to encourage free-flowing discussions, promote collaboration, and keep their team on target. If you've decided to use the democratic style, you must create a participative environment. Communication must be honest and respectful. Leaders must keep conversations on target. And to avoid any extra wasted time, you must commit to an idea when the time comes. Just remember to explain your reasoning for why you made that choice. Remember these tips and keep the pros and cons in mind, and you can make an informed decision and put your best foot forward as a successful democratic leader.